Cats are wonderful. I love them.
Let's see. Alive, shiny? No.
Steve! No. Nails?
I'll give Nails a shot. But yeah, so we sat there and he hadn't been registered or anything. So the next day we went around the neighborhood and asked if anybody had lost a cat.
Do you have all of your pets?
Yeah, and nobody we could find had actually lost a pet. So we were like, all we could figure that he was
Under
abandoned.
Given, there's a set.
So there is. That he was abandoned by somebody or left behind when they moved. So we took him in and has been our kitty ever since.
And is the one under Given still there?
Nope, I got that one. It doesn't really remove them.
Oh, it doesn't remove them. Okay.
Yeah. So next year will be 1 year that we've had him in our house.
Also above shiny.
Above shiny. So there is. Okay. At this point, I should have... With all the duds I've removed, I should be able to pick it up.
Nope, no collar. He wasn't even neutered.
Yeah.
Which that's a bit of a story in itself.
Oh, by all means, share.
So I don't know that we've shared this one before. So after we'd brought him to the vet and got him checked out to make sure that he was feline leukemia, IV, and everything like that negative, so that there was no chance of
him,
contamination or cross infection with our current cats. And he was negative on all points. So we sat there and we were like, okay, he can be part of our family. And so we gave him some flea treatment because he had fleas, and we gave him a dewormer. And so we had 2 weeks later a follow-up where he was supposed to get the second half of his vaccination, of one of his vaccinations. And they were like, yeah, we can do that in 2 weeks, and that'll be just before we go on our Christmas trip down to visit our parents, and everything. So, that'll be fine. That'll work. And when we get back in January, or when we get back before the 1st, we'll set up a time to get him neutered and bring him in and get him neutered and everything, and we'll be there when he's neutered.
Mm-hmm.
And every single night from the night that he was left out of the room.
We tried a rose. That wasn't it. It wasn't wrong. It's got to be something with an R in the second.
Wrong. Fruit.
Fruit. It's got to be fruit.
Nice.
There we go.
Okay. So, yeah. So we let him out of his bedroom to meet the other cats, and everything was all fine and dandy. Jinxie didn't like him. He bit Jinxie in the ass.
Yeah.
Jinxie didn't take any guff from him, and that's been their relationship ever since. She has a very long memory.
Understandably.
Which, yeah, I think everybody can understand all of that. But the problem arose when he would wake up and come into our bedroom every single night from between 2 o'clock and 3:30 in the morning. And he would attack me.
I don't think attack is the right word.
No. It was full blown. It was an attack.
I think assault is the right word.
He would hop up on the bed and he would cuddle with me. This is why I say it was an attack.
Yeah.
Okay? He would cuddle with me and I'd be like, okay, I'm half asleep, And then he would start biting my wrist and trying to hump my elbow.
Yeah.
Wait, was there something glowing underneath that dead scientist?
Yes, he was drinking Nuka-Cola when he died.
Oh, poor bastard. It's now ours. Sorry. So every single night for over a week, probably a week and a half, he would come in at about 2:30 in the morning, end up biting my wrist and humping my elbow. So we called him Bitey McHump for a while there. because it was appropriate. And the thing is that it wasn't a case of he would bite and hump my arm, and then if I sat there and scruffed him and tossed him off, he would leave me alone. No, he would sit there, he'd keep coming back because he was having those male feline urges, you know. And so I sat there and I looked at Dave. I was like, no, we can't wait. And we were supposed to bring him in on a Saturday to get his vaccination booster. Mm-hmm. And we called and we're like, can we get him fixed on the same day? And they're like, we don't do neutering
on the weekends.
On the weekends. And there's a holotape.
Oh, so there is.
Okay. But yeah. So, you know, they're like, we don't do holotape, or we don't do neuterings. We don't do holotapes on the weekends. Yeah. We don't do neuterings on the weekends. And we're like, okay, can we get in on Friday? And they were like, yeah, we have an appointment on Friday, but it's like at 8 o'clock in the morning. Mm-hmm. And we're like, that's fine. We'll be there.
Yeah.
And humorously enough, when we got back from vacation... When we got back from vacation, he was still biting the cum pump.
Other than that, I'm still worried about the...
And actually, every now and then, he's still biting the cum pump.
We've got more than enough to meet our demand. It's not like...
But much less often.
But it's one of those cases of he's biting the cum pump about a third of the time that he used to. So, I mean, I might... Actually, it's less than that now. He used to be biting my cum pump like every night. He would still wake me up every night. And what's really funny is when Dave would get out of the shower, and if he'd used the body wash that we use, every now and then Alex would sit there and be like, he would bite him on the wrist for just a brief second and be like, wait, you're not Cat Mom.
Yeah. You're not Nancy.
You're not Nancy. You can't do... No, that's not right.
You're not who I want to
You're not who I was going to do that to. And which is kind of humorous because...
He's very particular.
He's very particular about these kinds of things. On the wall. No. To the left. To the left. To the left.
Oh, I see what you mean.
Yeah.
Things might get a bit hectic in here, by the way.
But yeah. So, you know, so he still occasionally goes biting my cum pump, but it's really only about maybe once every 2 to 3 weeks, and that has slowly been decreasing. That's something that's slowly been decreasing as the testosterone decreases in his body, because he no longer has his testicles. And that, I think, is wonderful because, you know, if he manages to ever get out of the house, he will not be entering fatherhood. Because we totally believe that he probably has children running around in... He probably totally has children running around in Kentucky. In the Kentucky area, I mean, because that's where we were. So he probably totally has. Did you just blow her arm off?
Maybe, just a little bit.
Why are you doing that?
Wasn't intentional.
He's following you.
What the hell? How did you get up here?
It's a ramp, not stairs. Okay, you go back up.
Yeah.
That's kind of pushing you into a corner, but he's still gonna have to come at you. Come at me, brah. Back up.
Yeah.
Nuke.
Take my 44 rounds. Okay. I've forgotten about that little segment.
You totally weren't prepared.
Nope.
But yes, so that's kind of the story with Alex, that
Yeah, and he still loves Ham.
he still loves Ham. And actually, he was actually too much for our cat Rascal
Yeah.
to handle.
Little boy cat.
Okay, our cat Rascal was obese.
Yeah.
He's probably slightly overweight now, but he was obese for a cat.
We put him on a kitty diet.
We put him on a kitty diet, and he had Alex to play with. But the thing is that Rascal, well, Rascal's lazy. Let's call it. Let's say what it is. Rascal is totally lazy. Oh, that is just weird.
Yeah.
Why would you have an activate button like that? Okay. Do energy weapons do better against bots?
I don't know.
I don't think that they do, actually, unless they have a component that, like a specialty, thing that sits there and says that it's going to do more damage again. What? Why are you all closed in?
That door did it. I'm thinking this was supposed to be an... Oh, no, it's not supposed to be an elevator. I thought it was an elevator.
I think this is more like a shelter.
Sounds about right.
Of some degree.
Yeah. But yeah, they don't necessarily do better, just different.
It's a different type of damage.
But a side note, as far as... That's right. Rascal doesn't have the energy to deal with this.
Yeah, the thing is that Rascal was never going to have to deal with Bitey McCump's shit.
That's true.
Actually, Rascal and Alex, they started getting along really well. I mean, there was a few minor hisses and stuff, like, setting up their territory. But they get along fine. They'll curl up next to each other. They'll cuddle a little bit. They'll cuddle if both of them are on me and not hiss at each other.
That's what we need to do.
There you go. So, that was totally its own thing. But, I think that Jinxie's ire with Alex in particular was well won. And there's not a buff out, it's a jet left.
So it is.
That is money there. It's like cash money being carried around. So, when we got back from vacation, or from our holiday visiting family, which I love our families, but vacation or holidays are never quite holidays because there's always stress because of travel. And travel is stressful. So we came back from visiting family for the holiday, and Jinxie was just she was just even more cantankerous than usual because she's a 13, 14-year-old cat.
Use this.
Okay? She is the only girl she's the only girl in the house outside of myself, and she does not take shit from any other cat. She will sit there and she will give you what for and smack the shit out of you if you get too close, and she doesn't want you there. Jinxie's the epitome of that. But Jinxie was in even more. She was even more cantankerous than usual, and I wasn't sure why. Mm-hmm. And then we realized that she was not.
Use this.
She was being awfully tender about her back hips, and that's when we realized that something had gone down, and we're pretty sure that Alex bit her in the ass. I mean, there's really no other way to put it. But he bit her in the ass, and she was fucking pissed as hell. And you know, I can totally get that. Any person sits there and comes bites me on the ass, I'm gonna smack the shit out of them and be like, "What the fuck is wrong with you?"
Especially if you don't know them.
Especially if I don't know them. Actually, you know something? It's not even an especially. If I don't know you and you come anywhere near me, I'm going to probably smack the shit out of you.
Got it.
Especially if you're trying to touch me in any place that I don't deem it's necessary or correct.
Careful, sir. I don't think we're alone.
Probably not, Ada. So we got home, and a handful of days later, we noticed Jinxie was just limping and just unhappy as hell. So we sat there and we're like, okay, let's bring her to the vet. And that's when we found out she had an abscess above her tail, and it was because one of the other cats had bit her. And so we're like, well, shoot. Well, you know, so we treated her, and she fought us every step of the way because
no cat wants to.
No cat wants medicine. You know, the funny thing is the boys will sit there and use those pill pocket things where you can sit there and wrap pills in a pocket of treat-like substance. So they will sit there and be like, "Oh yeah, this is a treat," and they'll eat it. Jinxie? No, Jinxie's not like that.
He's crawling through the.
Way to go, Ada.
Good job, Ada.
But yeah, so Jinxie is not like that. Jinxie's crafty.
Super crafty.
She is super crafty. She sits there and she knows when 90% of the time she knows when you've snuck something into her food. And she won't eat it. Stimpack.
Yes, you're right.
Okay. So yeah, Jinxie can see through all of any lies. If you have lies, she can see right through your shit. Okay?
Ooh, log entries.
And even if it's for her own good, she doesn't want it. Jinxie ain't no fool. She ain't gonna go no airplane this time, Hannibal.
Nice. Somebody was signed here for like 4 years.
Rough. But yeah, so I mean, the times that Jinxie's had Jinxie's had issues like, I think she had a UTI and a sinus infection, and we had to give her antibiotics for that, and it's hell. It's probably one of the worst experiences of my life trying to give Jinxie any kind of medication in liquid form. I mean, that's the reason why I had to get so good at using a syringe with no needle, because
just squirt down the cat.
Because there was a period of time that I was by myself and I had to give her medication for these kinds of things. And
I mean, from a certain point of view, a cat is just a tube with openings at both ends.
Yeah, until you realize that there's also teeth.
Yeah.
Ooh, bourbon!
Where's bourbon?
Left.
That's whiskey,
okay,
but close enough.
Close enough. They're cousins. Okay. So yeah, so Jinxie, you know, it was quite hellish to try to give her any kind of medication, particularly the pink shit that they often give you. I don't know why it's always pink and it's like bubblegum flavored.
Cats don't like bubblegum.
Cats don't like bubblegum. Like, make that shit like salmon and tuna flavored, man. Come on. Let's be real. That's what a cat's more likely to be willing to eat. But no, they make it like bubblegum flavor because it's like kids eat, and you know, it's basically the same difference, I guess.
Logically, all humans are basically slightly bumpy tubes.
Donukins. You know, that's fair. I mean, heck, I'll admit it. You and I. We're gloppy messes of flesh with, you know, a tube at either end.
Yep.
It's a fact. But yeah, so we said, so it was absolutely
Whoa,
terrible
what the hell
to
just
try.
happened?
It's absolutely terrible to try to sit there and force Jinxie to take something she doesn't want. It literally is painful because there was a point in time where she sat there, she would shred me. I mean, she would sit there and she would just like shred my arm. And it was, and it was terrible. And then, it got better because, when you're by yourself for any period of time, you have to sit there and say, okay, suck it up, Buttercup. We have to give the cat the treat. That's not a treat at all. Nobody thinks this is a treat, but we're hoping that they'll say it's a treat this time because, hope springeth eternal. And, and it was never the case with Jinxie. I mean, I tried giving her a deworming pill, and she sat there and she hacked it up, and I found it a day later, partly, dissolved. And she's crafty, because she'll sit there and she'll hide it until you leave, and then she'll hack it up, she'll cough it out, because that's how Jinxie rolls. And so, you get pretty good when you have to give medication to a cat. And, they have those, there's actually like a pill shooter that you put it in a thing and you can shoot it down their throat so they have to take it. And it's terrible for all parties. And there was a weapons box. There you go. Yep. Yeah, and that's terrible for all parties. But I don't know that the liquid's any better, because the liquid suffers from the fact that they can get part of it out no matter what.
Sweet.
If they're determined enough.
Ooh, it's a holotape.
When they're determined enough, they'll sit there and be like, I'm just going to yak out part of this anyway, so you just have to hope. You just have to hope that enough of it gets down their stomach to sit there and actually do the work.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, so Jinxie, that was the situation with Jinxie, and they gave us liquid to give to her, and perhaps the worst part of all of it was the fact that, they had to partially, at the vet, they had to partially muzzle her, and they had to trim her claws, because yep, Kitty Xanax will do that. That it doesn't matter. They're spiteful of anything you could possibly give them.
I'm the one that's got to answer to Rawlings.
But I brought Jinxie to the vet because Dave was working at the time, and he had stuff for work he had to do. And I was like, okay. So I brought Jinxie to the vet, and they took Jinxie into the back. And this is quite literally all I heard. Aw, shit! And they're like, okay, can you bring the trimmers? So they gave her a nail trimming because she apparently laid one of the vet technicians open. And Jinxie was already pretty pissy about everything anyway, so I wasn't going to trim her claws on top of it, because that's just suicide at that point, because she was not going to have it. There was really no decent way that I could do it myself just before the appointment. So they gave her a nail trimming. And then
Closer, but I will not fall.
okay.
Heroics see nothing further comes the Commonwealth. Yeah, that was at 8 in the morning.
No, this one was closer to about 10. Luckily, this was a little later in the morning, but it was still kind of a thing. And so Jinxie sat there and apparently laid a technician open, so they trimmed her claws. And when she couldn't scratch the shit out of them anymore, they had to shave and clean the bite on her ass. Like, essentially just above her tail. So I'm just going to say it's, like, on her ass. But, yeah, she sat there and she had... And they're like, it was actually turning into an abscess, so they had to clean it.
Mm-hmm.
So they debrided the area after they shaved the fur. And she was pissed. I don't think I've ever seen Jinxie so angry in my life. Because she was just like, you know, and they told me, they gave me a medication to sit there and debride the area. So essentially, you know, squirt this on the area to cleanse the area so that it'll, you know, it'll heal faster.
Mm-hmm.
It could theoretically heal on its own, but it's going to be faster if you do this. And I was like, okay. So we had to give her liquid antibiotics, which is hell. Anybody who's had a cat that they've tried to give it liquid antibiotics to knows it's hell.
Mm-hmm.
But then we also had to sit there and hold her, and we had to, you know, squirt this slightly acidic medication on her ass just above her tail.
And she was not happy.
And she was never happy about it. She was like, I am pissed at you, you fucking humans. I mean, that really is. She was just like, fuck you humans, go and die.
Eventually we got through it.
But we got through it, and she still does not like... The only boy in the house that she likes are Dave and Rascal.
Yep.
She still hisses it. Actually, she's hissed a little bit less at Alex.
Yeah, but Freddy, she just looks
But
at the size of him. He's literally twice her size.
He's literally twice her size, and she's just like, no.
The funny thing is, he wants to cuddle with her the most. He wants to be her best friend.
He wants to cuddle. He wants to be friends. But you know, the funny thing is Jinxie was for about 3 years not spayed. Okay, and for about 3 years she was not spayed, and one of her homemates, I guess you would call it, would be a neutered male named Boopy.
Okay. He was Boopy.
And Boopy.
Pause for a second.
And Boopy was above her tail, and and her butthole was fine. There was nothing wrong with her butthole. Everything was normal there. It was okay. Let's be honest here. That's what it was. But the reality was that, you know, that laceration was infected. It had gotten infected because cat's mouths are, well, they're disgusting. Mm-hmm. But yeah, so Freddy always wants to cuddle with Jinxie, and Jinxie will allow Rascal to cuddle with her sometimes. But she hisses a little less at Alex.
Yeah.
And then when Alex got to be too much for Rascal, and like seriously, Rascal just could not keep up, fat little butterball that he was at the time.
Yeah.
I mean, I think he does a better job of it now, but you know, when you're, for a cat, when you're even 3 pounds overweight, that's a lot of weight.
Yeah. It's okay. The watch station logs here. Awfully no set of subjects to us today. Transfer from civilian penitentiaries. Can only assume they're the worst society has to offer. I mean, after all, why would they be in jail if they hadn't done anything terrible? Would have been better off serving their time elsewhere. Prisoners having their brains cut out of their heads or something like that. Literally cutting them open.
Yep.
Prisoners talk about rioting. Inmates getting dissected, the parts used for robots.
Okay, a butthole and a butt adjacent hole.
Yeah, take this all the way and meet with General Rawlings. How did that go for him? Broderick got reassigned out of the facility today. I think they got him scrubbing toilets some backwater listening post in Anchorage now. So Broderick actually had a conscience, and where'd that get him?
Voltec. Not at all.
Anchorage. I've been to Anchorage. Anchorage is actually rather nice. Well,
Rather
relatively
lovely.
speaking.
Well, it's relatively lovely. At least half the year.
I've compared to Cleveland.
I've lived near Cleveland, and I'll be honest, I can't say that Anchorage is like Cleveland because I've never been.
Well, actually, I'll tell you, they're very similar.
Does it suffer from lake effect snow?
Oh, yes.
Oh, okay. Yeah, that's pretty close then.
Ooh, there's a property storage lockup terminal.
But yes, so Jinxie got healed from all of that. But yeah, so Boopy. When Jinxie was not... Before Jinxie was spayed, she lived with in a house with 4 other cats. There's a reason why Michigan is in the shape of
Sweet.
a glove.
Yep.
It's pretty cold.
Yeah.
I often forget people need to use the keyboard to access a terminal.
We're 3 cats deeper into the Mechanist's lair.
Yeah. That's a good way of putting it.
It's a fair statement. But yes, so the whole thing with Jinxie, she used to live with 3 other cats. There was Mama, who was the mother of 2 of the cats that my friend owned, and which were Jinxie's. They weren't litter mates or anything like that. They just happened to live in the same home, and they didn't get along well because the rest of them were all neutered and spayed, but Jinxie wasn't. It just happenstance. And I've been to Detroit. Detroit generally sucks. So she was the only unfixed cat in the house. And so she would walk around the house regularly just crying because she was in heat. Chronically in heat. And Boopy was the only male. He was the only male, and he would sit there.
That's actually just...
It's actually just an ammo bag.
I picked that more or less by accident.
And it was empty by the... Was it empty?
Yeah.
Okay. Anyway, so yeah, so every time that Jinxie would go into heat, Boopy would sit there and he would try to help. You know, the singular way that a cat who is completely derp can help. I mean, he had absolutely no context. He was special, and Boopy will always hold a special place in my heart because he was Boopy. And so he would sit there, and when Jinxie would come upstairs, because she spent most of her time in the basement, Boopy would come, she'd come upstairs at times when she was in heat, and Boopy would sit there, and he would follow her around, and as she was crying, because she was in heat, he would sit there, and he would stand on top of her and be like, okay, now what? I mean, in some ways it was like the sweetest thing, but it was like the saddest fucking thing because, he was trying to help, but he was so incapable of helping, that he wanted to help, but it was just never gonna happen. And, why did you grab the cue ball?
I don't know.
Why are you... No, kill the ghoul. The ghoul is up. He's moving.
Yeah, but Basically, these cells right here, these are people who have been locked up since before the war.
Yes, but you kill her before you open it.
Which means that they basically took a bunch of prisoners, gathered them up in here to turn them into Robobrains, and left them in their cells. And some of them turned into ghouls, and some of them didn't. Which is, well, pretty fucked up if you think about it. But hey, I'll take the experience. You know, you're right. They should have random NPC names. Just like, hey, these were people. They had hopes and dreams and stuff like that. Actually, why did this guy have drugs in his cell? Never mind. I just flipped a circuit breaker. I think that just opened all the doors.
Name them all Steve.
Okay. Let's... Oh, no one got out.
Ooh.
Legendary Withered's Feral Ghoul.
Ooh.
Known as Stumpy now.
But yeah, so my whole thing is, so Boopy would try to help her, but had no idea what the hell he was doing. the poor guy. He's out there. He was trying, but he was lacking. He didn't have the know-how. So when she came to live with me, she got fixed and. You know, she was spayed and everything, and so it was no longer an issue. But, LP of 2?
Oh, Danganronpa, I'd say,
This is what happens when I leave for a minute.